Welcome to E4health Talks. I'm Lauren Alston, Manager of Talent Acquisition here at e4health, and in each episode, I'll be chatting with team members, leaders, and industry professionals about their careers, experiences, and all things E4health. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to E4health Talks. My name is Lauren Alston. I'm the Manager of Talent Acquisition, and today I'm joined by a pretty big deal. I'm joined by the CEO of e4health, David Van Doren. He's with me today, and we really want to just chat casually and talk about his story and find out about the man behind the CEO title. So thank you so much for joining me, Dave.
Thank you for having me, and obviously thank you for starting this talks. I think it's interesting and important to the company, and I'm interested to start listening to how others engage with you in this type of environment.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. We had our first episode with Marla Kelly, who's one of our ED coders. Then I did my second episode with the talent acquisition team, which was really fun. You're my third episode, and who knows what's going to come next? Maybe a completely different area. So thank you again. Again, everyone, just want to kind of talk about Dave's life and, why he's here now, what led him here, maybe some interesting things that you would never know about Dave. So, why don't we start there? We'll go back to the beginning. Dave, tell me kind of, where did your career start and where did you think it was going to go?
Yeah, so completely different than what I thought it when I had started thinking about my career. I mean, my mom was a nurse, so growing up, I was always leaning towards healthcare. I also really enjoyed working out as a teenager, as at my older teen years. So I thought I was going to go into physical therapy. I applied to Temple University, and I was thinking I would eventually get into their PT program. But then, one summer afternoon, after all the college acceptances were over and the due dates were all passed, I joined my twin brother, Sean, at York College, Pennsylvania. He had to go for a nursing orientation because he was going to go there for nursing. He did go there for nursing. It was so hot. The only place that was open was the gymnasium. I went in just for a break and air conditioning, and they were doing a presentation on health information management. And so it was just kind of like I sat down and I listened. And I thought, sounds pretty interesting. I think maybe I'll want to do that. And then it gave me the opportunity to go to York and still be with my twin, which I guess there's probably good and bad to that. But lo and behold, I told my mom, and my mom called York and asked for a favor, and they let me in. So I went to York in health information management.
That is so interesting. So you thought you were going to do PT. So your family is all healthcare, right? You said your mom was a nurse, your twin brother is a nurse. What about your older brother?
Yeah, Jeff, I would say that Jeff and Laura always lean more towards finance. So Laura, my sister, Jeff, my brother, by the way, both older. I am the youngest in the family. I'll point that out.
We'll just highlight that.
3 minutes younger than Sean, my twin.
I bet you don't let him forget it, right?
I try not to. But yeah, Jeff and Laura always lean more towards finance. Which is interesting. And my father was an engineer, and he did architecture on the side. I guess that's the math side for Jeff and Laura. But yeah, Sean and I always lean more towards healthcare on my mom's side. We just really enjoyed the aspect of patient care, which I thought I was going to get into, and then I didn't. So.
Wow, that is so cool. I love that. And I love that you have that healthcare side and then the numbers side. Obviously, Laura is our VP of people here at e4health. She is our benefit guru. She knows everything about benefits. She helps with payroll. She manages employee onboarding, just the entire HR process. So she's a pivotal part of the organization as well, which is, I love that, you guys have done this together. And you've continued to do it, which we'll get into because I know there's so many family businesses that we need to touch on. So that's awesome. So what happened when you finished York? You obviously were there for HIM. What did you do at school and how did that lead you to the next step?
Well, I will say that the class I hated most going through the HIM program was coding. And I told myself and everybody else, and I think everybody pretty much said it, that we will never code a day in our lives. But my first job after I graduated was at Graduate Hospital, which is now part of Good Shepherd Rehab in Center City, Philly, um, as a coder. So I started my
Wow.
career as a coder and just worked my way up, coding and working in consulting. So
After never wanting to code a day in your life, you
never
became a
wanted to.
coder.
I hated the coding class. Hated. I think honestly, I got a B in that class,
Okay.
and I probably the only B that I received in all of the HIM courses. And I'm like, I freaking hate coding. I'm never gonna do it.
That's hilarious. So what did you get at the end of that course? Like was it was your degree, but obviously now it's all about certifications, isn't it? So did you get a certification with that?
Yeah, yes, no, not you. You have to after you get your degree, then you have the ability to sit for the RHIA exam, and I did do that I think within about 2 months of graduating, I sat for the RHIA and passed it. And
Okay.
then with experience, I'm not sure honestly what the criteria is today to sit for the CCS. But then you had to have a certain amount of experience and you could sit for the CCS, and I sat for that and passed that exam as well. So, and unfortunately now between me and you and everybody listening, I kind of feel like a fraud because, I still hold those credentials. But I probably couldn't code my way out of a paper bag right now. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Amanda Corley, she's our VP over our MRC department. She always says that you don't necessarily need to know how to code, but you need to know how to manage it and just be a leader. So I don't think you're a fraud. I think you're deserving of those credentials. You've been in the industry long enough, right? So
It's over 30 years. So
yeah. Wow. Okay. Wow, that's fantastic. So what area of coding did you go into? Was it inpatient? I mean, back then, I don't know how the world looked, but now it's, inpatient, outpatient, pro fee, HCC, I guess.
yeah, so I went right into acute care hospital, graduate hospital, and then it's kind of similar to the way it is set up today. We coded only the hospital based inpatient and outpatient, and we had to do everything. So we had to know how to code ED, ambulatory, inpatient. So we did the whole gamut, and and they taught you. So the graduate then had a leader who always took on new graduates and trained them, and she made sure that we were trained in every aspect on the hospital side coding. So never touched the provider side. Never touched the provider.
Really?
Never. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It seems so split nowadays, doesn't it? And I mean, in consulting, we do require the experience in order to place you in a position just because that's what, why we work with clients. Clients require that. But I love that, they were able to give new graduates a chance, especially, what was your first hospital?
The graduate hospital.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Okay, so how did you go from being a coder to starting your first company?
I think, for me, this kind of all goes back to my father. He, even though he worked for an engineering firm and he managed an engineering department, he was always in our ears about being your own boss and doing your own thing. And, he really, I want to say that he did start a series of his own businesses. And one of them was a bagel and cheesecake business. When Sean and I were 16 and 17 years old, he had us waking up 2:30 in the morning, driving into Manhattan and Brooklyn, picking up bagels from H&H Bagel, which was a well-known bagel hotspot in Manhattan, and then down in the Brooklyn for cheesecakes. And then we would drive them back to the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, repackage and deliver to restaurants and bakeries. And so I think he just instilled in us to be an entrepreneur, and we really got that entrepreneurial spirit. And I think, for me, there were just several steps that really had to fall into place. And another one for me was working in hospitals. Change is very slow in hospitals. A lot of the leaders in hospitals know the right thing to do, but you're usually so tied that you can't do them. And I always thought, you know what, I can't do this. I can't work in an industry where you're tied to do the right thing. And how do I move faster and make change and make things better for others? And I thought I have to start my own business. So.
Okay. So you were hustling cheesecakes at 16.
16. So we were driving.
That's awesome.
We were driving a windowless van that was very shady from New York to Pennsylvania. Yeah. So.
Wow. I never knew that. Okay. That's so fun. So what happened next? Like what was the first step when you realized, I don't want to work for someone else. I want to run my own business. What was your step?
At that point, I had worked for several years in the industry. 4 to 5 years in the industry in different roles as a coder. As a consultant, I went into consulting, working for Ruth Ann Russo at Cabot Marsh back in the day. And some individuals might remember her in that name. And then working on an engagement with Mainline Health, they wanted to hire me. They liked me. They wanted to hire me. So I was working as a site director at Paoli Memorial Hospital. And I saw what was going on in the industry with, Cabot Marsh. Was the company that we were using. Then Quadramed purchased them, and there was such a price fix, and you didn't really get the quality, that you needed and you were expecting for the price you were paying. So at that point, I went to my boss, and there's several other things that kind of occurred within this, but. I went to my boss and I had said, hey, I think I want to start my own company. And she had said, okay, I'll be your first contract. I'll sign it. My first contract was Mainline Health. And this was back in Q4 of 1999. And I think for me, she just said, hey, give me 3 months notice. And I'll sign the contract. And she did. And I gave her 3 months notice. And honestly, what gave my brothers and I the ability to launch this was the unfortunate fact that my father had passed of cancer. And my mom took a portion of his death benefits and said, hey, I'll give you some cash if you guys want to start a business. And, and that's really how it all started. It all kind of came together over an unfortunate incident of my father passing. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the money to do it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think he would think of what you did with the money?
I think he would have been proud. I think just because the fact that we took the chance to, start our own business and our own venture and be on our own, I think he would have been proud of us because he always talked to us about it and instilled in us that, going out and doing your own thing is important. Whether or not you have a full-time job or not, the work ethic he instilled was important, and always, something that I always took to heart. So,
And isn't it right that you named your first company after him and your mom, right?
Yeah, RMS, which really stood for Richard and Mary Sweeney. Sweeney is my mom's maiden name. And that's how, the acronym, we called it Reimbursement Medical Specialist, but it was really after Richard and Mary. So
that's fantastic. What a wonderful tribute. And he definitely would be proud of that because I think doing that just opened up so many more doors, didn't it, to now what is e4health. So RMS was in business for how long, and then what happened after that to go to the next level?
Yeah. So RMS, we were only in business, I want to say 3.5 years. And then I had a cancer scare, quite honestly. And so we did have companies approaching us, asking us if we wanted to sell. And at that point, it wasn't something that we had really thought about. But then right around the same time I was diagnosed with cancer, was scared and thought, okay, maybe this is the right thing to do. Maybe we sell because, you never know. So, unfortunately, I would say now in hindsight, unfortunately, we sold the company to PH&S out of Dallas, Texas, which was a healthcare IT firm. And I say unfortunate because they just did not have the same vision and value, and they just didn't stand for the same thing that we did, as a business and a company and owners of a company. But yeah, so it was unfortunately a cancer scare, and we pulled the trigger too soon and sold. So,
is that something you look back on and regret as a business decision?
Yes, 100%. 100% regret selling the business at that point in time. We should never have done it. I would think that I do believe that if it wasn't for me getting cancer, that we likely wouldn't have sold. But it is hindsight. But here we are today. So I mean, it just drove the path that we're on today. So.
Right. So after RMS, what happened? What was the next venture?
After RMS, I did a great stint at Ernst & Young, that I loved, and then they basically sold me to Mount Sinai Medical Center in Manhattan. After
what was your role? Like, how did they sell you?
I worked for fraud investigation and dispute, and at Ernst & Young, I was a manager there. Didn't manage anybody, but my title was manager. Manage contracts, I guess.
Right.
And so, I would just do any investigations where a hospital, I mean, honestly, hospital, pharmaceutical, medical device company, you name it, anybody billing to Medicare, Medicaid, if they were found in fraud and put under a settlement agreement, I would come in and be an intermediary to review to make sure that they're abiding by the agreement. I did an engagement at Sinai. They liked me. Ernst & Young was their audit firm for finance. So they reached out to whoever their head of audit was and asked if, they could figure out who I was and if they could have me. And so Ernst & Young just gave me the option, you can go there if you want to, you don't have to, doesn't really matter to them. So I did. So I went to Mount Sinai. And for me, I kind of looked at it as just, building relationships and gaining more knowledge in the industry. At Sinai, I had, larger responsibility. I reported right to the president of the hospital. I was responsible for health information management. I was responsible for clinical documentation. I was responsible for non-clinical OR, peri-op, and cancer center, and getting the cancer center designated as a national, or whatever the credentials are that they have. It's been so long. So I was responsible for leading that charge for them. Yeah, so I don't even know, what was the original question. Gosh.
No, that's good. That's good. How did you go from going, you knew you didn't want to work for somebody else, then you had your own business, but then you went back to working for someone else. Like how did you feel in that transition? Were you ready to just get back into the business world, or did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the business. I guess I'm unfortunately an extreme workaholic, and I guess I'll blame my father for that as well. And it just, I never think about slowing down. I'm always looking for the next thing. So for me, it was just like, how do I get more experience? How do I learn? How do I grow? Also, I was in non-compete. So, I had to do something.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
I bought some time working in parts of the industry that I was still allowed to work in, not breaking my agreement with the non-compete.
I mean, if you're going to learn anywhere, learn at Sinai, right? It's one of the best facilities in the country.
That's for sure. My God.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so Dave, tell me, we're going to take a pause in your story for a minute, because I want to see if you would share what is something that people wouldn't guess about you. They see you, they see the face, they see the title, the big CEO, but tell me something that people wouldn't know.
One of my breaks with being under a really strict non-compete and with all eyes on me, actually, my brothers and I decided to start a new company, but not in healthcare. I opened up a motorcycle dealership up in Center Valley, Pennsylvania. But I grew up always having an extreme interest in motorcycles, although I never rode them. I had a healthy fear of them. So it was just one of those things. I always had an interest in motorcycles, and I opened up an Indian motorcycle dealership.
Wow, that is very unexpected. So you hadn't ridden them because you were too afraid, but you wanted to sell them. Would that be fair?
That'd be fair. But then I started riding. So
Okay. Very cool. How did that business do?
It did. It did well. We're on track based on how the motorcycle industry, works financially, which isn't great. But it usually takes 3 to 5 years to get to like a break even situation financially in motorcycle industry. And I was somewhat forced to close the dealership, sell the building.
Were you in business with your brothers in that industry too, or was it just you with the shop?
It was myself and a good friend of mine who's an orthopedic surgeon, Rob. He had several. He was an independent orthopedic. He had several practices throughout Pennsylvania.
Okay, so when did I'm a legacy Intellis employee. I started with the company 7+ years ago, maybe even closer to 8 now. Intellis, I think, was the second company that you started. So how did that come about? And, tell me one of your best successes from the Intellis days.
Yeah, I think, I'll say that Intellis was my third.
Oh, third. Okay, so we need to go to the second then.
Well, the second was Mecca. Yeah, and Mecca was an organization that we sold to IOD Incorporated, which then eventually became what's now known as Datavant.
Okay, was IOD where you met Dan Cook? Shout out Dan Cook. He was an IOD guy, right?
No.
No?
Dan Cook. I met Dan Cook when I was a baby.
Oh, okay. No, I knew you grew up together, but I guess business-wise, I thought he was an IOD guy.
No, Dan was a Mecca guy. Dan worked with us at Mecca. We hired Dan originally at Mecca to be our sales guy and recruiter.
Okay.
So he wore both hats. He was business development and recruiting for Mecca.
Got it. Okay. So Mecca was also in the healthcare industry. It was same thing, consulting, HIM. Were you in the HIT side of things at that point?
Yes and no. I also had developed a software program called Rack Assist, where it basically managed At that point, it was created originally to control the RAC initiative that CMS launched, but we actually rolled it out where tracked and controlled all carriers, anything dealing with release of information requests and denials and appeals, things of that nature.
Wow. You really did not slow down.
Nah, I don't have that ability,
I
unfortunately.
don't think you do. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Mecca was around for, was it what, 3 years again? Kind of same thing. And then did it sell?
3 to 4 years, yep. And then IOD. At that point, I had known Mike Wickman, who was the owner of IOD, and he had approached me and wanted to utilize. They needed a software for denials and appeals because their main competitor, HealthPort, was offering it for free for 10-year release of information contracts. So he did it. He wanted to do a deal with us to utilize our platform. It didn't go smoothly at all. So then he was just like, well, what if we just bought you guys? And at that point, because we were in the same industry, I'd known Mike for a long time. I thought it would be a good opportunity for us as a business to be able to grow exponentially, utilizing their client base. And so we ended up merging with IOD.
Okay. So you had regrets about selling RMS when you did. Did you have any regrets about the way that Mecca kind of merged and ended, I guess?
No, I'm going to say at the time, within 2 years of the merger, I think I did have some regrets, but I think it was more selfish. I think overall, from a company perspective, it was a good opportunity for the business and for the employees. I mean, that business did grow; it took off. They really did a good job, I believe, with the business, and so I think for employees and everyone else, I think it was a good move. For me, probably not. I was
Okay.
gone after, I think, 2 years.
Did you get the boot? Oh.
Yeah, I got the boot.
Well, I mean, my job is very much people focused. As much as we work really closely with operations, my entire goal is to give people the best experience that they can, whether that's in recruiting or onboarding or whatever it is. So, all these companies, you sell them, but you touched on this. When you do sell these companies, and when you did, were the majority of the employees, were they kept? Like, did they all still have jobs?
Yes. With the acquisitions that we did, all the employees did have jobs. I would say that those that are really at risk during acquisitions are people like me in my
So
role.
high ups, right?
Yeah. But they want everybody else. It's critical for them to be able to keep everyone else to continue to manage that business. Really, really where they're looking to cut is the CEO, possibly the CFO. So we're the ones, like Brian and I are the ones that kind of have to,
Yeah.
you know.
You got to watch out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the folks that are doing the work, they're the billable people, right? They're who are really on the ground, boots on the ground every day, making the money. Is that important to you, Dave, when you do think about these businesses and the successes, and when you think back, was it an important part of selling your companies that these people were still employed? Because I know you're a people person, so I know you be looking out for them too.
I want to say that it's 30 years of growth for me, because I'll say that, I think going back to my first company, it's something that I'm not even sure I even thought about it. I assumed that everybody would keep their jobs, and because I didn't really know acquisition and what it meant. But it wasn't something that I thought about. I thought more about finance and success and everything like that. Whereas now, I think more about the people. So I know going into acquisition mode that I'm probably the first one that's going to get cut before anybody else. I understand that, and I'm okay with that. But I care that everybody else maintains their job, right? Including Brian.
Yeah. Shout out, Brian. So let's talk about Intellis then. So Intellis was started, gosh, what? I don't even know the year.
2015.
Wow, 11 years ago you started Intellis. So Intellis, well, I guess for everybody out there, e4health is an umbrella of three companies that merged together, Intellis, eCatalyst, and E4 Services. So the three of us merged, 4 years ago now, maybe 3, maybe 5. It's a blur. I mean, time flies when you're having fun, right? We're now all under the e4health umbrella. So Dave was the, legacy CEO of Intellis. I came from Intellis too. We have a number of employees and leaders who were legacy different companies. So it's a wonderful mix of us all together. I think from my perspective, it was a very successful merge. But Dave, what was your perspective on that acquisition?
Growing pains. I'll say growing pains. Any time where you do a transaction where private equity is involved, you need to be assured that there are going to be pains that come along with that. So I think originally the way that the merger happened, there were some very bad decisions made initially that really, I would say hampered might be the better word, the company a little bit. And then we made changes. We made leadership changes, frankly. And the new leaders that we have here today are phenomenal. And, we've seen a tremendous turnaround and growth over the last 2 years, and it's been amazing to watch.
Right.
The team is just fantastic. So
right.
I can't say anything bad about any of these folks. Awesome job.
And honestly, truly, still to this day, one of my favorite selling points is that when I and my team are talking to the coders, the HIT professionals, the auditors, the CDI, the fact that we can say everybody on our website, all of those leaders that you see in those photos, they have quite literally been in your shoes. I mean, our CEO was a coder. I mean, you've literally been doing it. Whether or not you liked coding or not is a different story, but you've done it. And like Stacey Justin, she was a nurse for many years. She was a CDI. Same with Alston. We have Amanda. Michelle. They've all done the work. They have those credentials behind them, and I think truly that is one of our best selling points.
It is. That's something that you really don't see a lot of with a lot of our competitors, is that, a lot of the executive leaders, the CEOs are not from the industry. They don't hold the credentials. So that's something that I think that I'm proud of, is that we've done the work. Everyone from, Rich and Tim and Todd from the HIT and HIM divisions to Amanda and Stacy and Allison, and it just, it's
all
just
of
phenomenal.
them.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you were supposed to be an interim CEO, and 2 years later, you're still here. So
yeah, 2 years can be interim.
Really? Okay.
Believe me. I mean, something that people don't know about me is, we talked about the motorcycle dealership, but I could be very aggressive, and I am a jokester. I joke a lot, and it to me, it doesn't matter if I'm in the boardroom or in front of my family. I say things that are off the wall, and it's really just to get a reaction out of people. So I do that in boardrooms. So it's just, I could be fired at any time based on what comes out of my mouth. You never know. But
I think it's one of your best qualities. People like, honest leaders, and you don't sugarcoat anything.
No,
People
I don't.
need that.
Yeah, I don't. But I will say that, they originally asked me to be an interim, and they hired two different search firms to look for a new CEO. Um, but when it came down to they were interviewing individuals, and when it came down to them trying to pick one, we started on this kind of this growth, and they were afraid to pull the trigger on bringing someone new in there. Like, let's just let this ride a little bit. Um, and honestly, it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with everybody else, the team. All I was just trying to block and tackle the stupid stuff coming from the private equity. So anything that I could do to just kind of let the team run and do what they do best, and not be in the way. So I think for me, it's just moving out of the way and moving anybody else out of the way that's going to stop us from what we want to achieve. And that's really all I'm doing.
So what is that then to go to that point, Dave? What is what we want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? And what do you see the future of E4health being?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have a great future. I love everything that Nick and the innovations team is doing. It's phenomenal, and that's giving us breadth of growth over all of the divisions. So I think for us, it's just continuing down our same path. We have AI out there. And I know people are afraid of that, but the whole thing about business is change, and healthcare is constantly changing. So we need to embrace that. And, our jobs, we're going to have the jobs, but they might look a little bit different in a year or two from now. The whole thing with AI is not going to take your job. It's going to be growth in your job. Becoming, give you the ability to be promoted into going from coders to auditors to, AI specialists and what the outputs are that the AI is driving. AI is not going to be the end all be all. It still requires human intervention, and we're the ones. Subject matter experts are the ones that are going to have to, know and understand the outputs and tell the systems when it's wrong. We see that a lot.
We do. And I think you're absolutely right. People are scared of AI. I mean, it is scary to think of the robots taking over the world, right? But I completely agree. I think there's nothing better than human intervention, because there's always going to be error when it comes to technology. And
absolutely.
I think in our industry as well, it's going to be a helpful tool rather than a detriment.
Something that's not publicized, or I haven't seen it a lot publicized much at all, is that health systems, especially early adopters of the AI, coding AI, are being placed under settlement agreements and paying fines back to Medicare and Medicaid for fraudulent billing, billing and coding. So, we need to take this as an opportunity, not be afraid of it. It's embrace it. Let's move with it, adapt, and we'll all be better for it.
Absolutely. Is there a particular accomplishment that stands out to you, whether that's with e4health or any of your other businesses? Is there anything you think, wow, you nailed that?
Going back to RMS, sold that way too soon, cancer scare. Let's blame ICD-10 scare. So we merged with IOD, probably too soon. But I think for me is this right here, feels real good, and it's the team. Again, it all comes back to the team. The turnaround story that we've had as an organization is phenomenal. And frankly, I could say that I'm in the seat. I'm the CEO. Had absolutely nothing to do with me. It had absolutely everything to do with all of you, doing what you do, the recruiters and marketing, Magic Mike and Brendan, sales, finance, like everybody. I mean, especially the departments that really get no love, and finance and HR and talent, y'all get no love. But holy crap, how important this is to a business. It's things that people don't think about. But I think that the turnaround for this organization has been phenomenal, and it's kudos to the team for making that happen.
Right. And I think it's the abstractors, the EMPI specialists, the data analysts, the coders, the auditors, the CDIs, every single person who's doing the job every single day. I just realized my cat has made a surprise appearance. Yeah. So shout out to the cat. She can stay. She's really interested in your story, Dave. So.
Yes.
It truly is the people that are clocking in, clocking out every day. They're doing the job, and that's who it all boils down to, really.
None of us would be needed without them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, agreed. Let's talk a little bit about your journey, with e4health. We merged with the companies. You've never slowed down before, Dave. So do you have any plans to slow down now?
I have no plans to slow down, as a matter of fact. September 20th, I'll find myself in jolly old England.
Oh, okay. Tell us more about that. My homeland.
Your homeland, yeah. I'll be starting executive MBA at Oxford in September 20th. Yeah.
No big deal, right? Just Oxford. I mean, nothing crazy. So at this point, how many degrees do you have?
Well, I have 3 right now. And Oxford,
did you just check your wall?
I had to turn and look. I have the bachelor's in health information management from York. I have a Juris Masters from Florida State College of Law in healthcare regulation, and I have a master's in healthcare leadership from Brown University.
Wow, that is super impressive. I can only imagine the amount of time and effort that went into all of that, just everything behind that. Is your family supportive? Do you, are they all on board with all of this schooling?
Yes and no. So, yes, Allie, my wife, is definitely on board, but the only way I got her on board for this last one at Oxford was the fact that it's in England. And I had said, you can join me, and then you can skip through all the other countries in Europe. And she said, okay, you sold me. I'm going.
She's a traveler. She is a traveler, isn't she?
She's a traveler.
That was smart. That was a smart way of getting her on board.
That's right.
If I'm not mistaken, she is also in this industry too, right? So you guys are like the ultimate HIM power couple. What does she do? And, tell me how you both kind of find, how do you navigate this world together?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of bittersweet, because I'll tell you that we did have a CDI contract with Jefferson Health in Center City, Philly. But that ended when Shiny George, who's the vice president of revenue cycle, reached out to me and said, hey, I want to hire your wife to lead our CDI team. So Allie is assistant VP of CDI for the entire Jefferson Health System, which is 34 hospitals. Yeah.
Wow.
As far as navigating it, I mean, thankfully we have luxury of having 2 offices in the house to keep HIPAA violations. We're abiding by that, But yeah, so we don't talk about work a lot. We try to keep it separate.
So she did such a good job for us that she was actually poached, is what you're saying, really.
Yeah, Shiny poached her from us.
She did so well with us that we lost her. I mean, I know she was amazing, and I had the privilege of working with her. Not as closely, but I know that she was a wonderful just CDI SME in all ways. She's a nurse too. She has the clinical background as well. I mean, I think she's pretty much done it all. So shout out Alston.
Shout out to Alston. Yeah, and actually, she was the one that recommended Stacy Joesting.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So
And that's one of the things I love about this industry. It can be a blessing and a curse, but everybody knows each other, right? I mean, it's such a small but large industry and everyone knows each other and there's a lot of word of mouth. And for the most part, I think that's been utilized certainly to our advantage. I mean, we get so many referrals from coders and auditors and data abstractors and everyone in every aspect of our departments. They have so many referrals. They send so many people our way. And I mean, I guess that's a testament to the culture here and the fact that people enjoy working here. So they recommend their friends, their family, which is amazing. And we do offer a referral bonus, which is awesome. All of our employees, if you're watching this, you can get a bonus if you know of anyone that wants to join the team. So reach out to me. A little shameless plug there.
that was a misplug, but it's important. It's important.
It is. It is. Definitely is. I always wonder, and maybe, I don't know if we'll keep this in or not, but I always wonder how much you know about what we offer from an employee standpoint, Dave. Like, do you know about the benefits that we offer and about like what our folks get?
I'll be honest, I don't. It's changed every year. It could potentially change. So I don't kind of keep a pulse on it. I just assume that we're doing the right thing.
Well, that's good. That means we're doing our jobs right. So that's perfect. I love it. I'm going to flip the script a little bit, Dave, because obviously, when you are in a position like a CEO, you're not in the day-to-day, run-ins of things from a lower level. You're much higher up and overseeing and a lot of responsibility. Is there anything that you want to ask me? Do you have any questions about what I do or about e4health in general?
When you're doing your job on a daily basis, is there barriers that you run into? Is there anything that's in place at a higher level that keeps you from achieving what you need to achieve?
That is a good question. Yes. Yes and no. For the most part, no. However, I will say, because of the industry that we're in, we call it consulting, and you've used that word a few times. That's the only word I use. But other people in our industry call us contract. And I really try and stay away from the word contract because it gives us a very, it just doesn't feel positive, So I will say when I'm, recruiting and my team, everyone in talent acquisition, whatever department, because we are a consulting company, sometimes we are thought of as a contract company. So sometimes we do have barriers there because people in this industry, they believe that working directly with a hospital, a facility, a health system is the better option. And in many ways, I actually don't think that's true. Contract companies are contract consulting companies. We want to keep our folks working because that's how we make money, right? At the end of the day, that is quite literally how we generate income. Whereas healthcare systems, often they have much tighter budgets. So they are the ones that are trying to cut costs. And in my opinion, the folks working directly with facilities are much more likely to be cut from a healthcare system because they come to consulting companies like us. And, sometimes it works out like that their team is contracted out to people like us, but our roles are not contract. At the end of the day, yes, we're a consulting company. We provide consulting services, but I always say we have contracts with our clients and not with our employees. When you're not a contract employee, I mean, of course, it depends on your role. It depends on what you do here. But for the most part, I go with that. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. We do have competitors that do have an operating model where their contracts, they have two contracts. They have a contract with the employee and they have a contract with the health system, and they're 1099, and So they truly are, contracted employees versus a consultant. I will say, um, we as consultants are expected to know more, do better, think outside the box, and I think that's the difference between, being a consultant and a contractor. I know back when I used to be a consultant for like Ruth Ann Russo, as an example, like many, many years ago, back in the 90s, um, you know, we weren't allowed to say we didn't know something. We had to always say, yes, we know, and then research if we didn't. And I think that's very important. And it's with it's how we all grow is, continued learning. And don't say you don't know something, research it if you don't know it and figure it out. I had to do that. I mean, I was on engagements where I was asked to do more than just coding, and things I didn't know how to do. And I had to research it and figure it out and get it done. And two of my jobs, actually, at Mainline Health and Mount Sinai, both came from engagements where I was asked to do things that I've never done before. So I think it's important to, just in your own learning and growth and trying to be better for the customer. Don't say no. Research it. Figure it out.
Especially with the resources we have these days. We have a lot at our fingertips, don't we? Which you probably didn't have in the 90s because, I wasn't born then because I'm much younger, obviously. But
we had to go out to the rotary phones and now.
Yeah. Retro. Okay, that was a good question. I like that. Okay, we're going to finish up, Dave, with a little light-hearted quick fire round. Okay, so I know don't be nervous. This is the fun part. This is just us getting to know you a bit more. So, okay, don't overthink them. Just answer with your gut.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Very early bird.
Really? Oh, okay. Favorite vacation destination?
So far, Iceland.
Ooh, okay. Good one. Book or podcast?
I would say The Art of War. It's probably my favorite book. Sun Tzu.
Okay. Are you a listener or you prefer physical?
Honestly, it depends. I think for The Art of War, a physical book, listener, my issue with listening is that it needs to be short spurts, 15, 20 minutes. Might lose me.
Your attention span. What's one thing that you cannot live without?
Allie, my wife.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. Good answer. What's one thing you can't start your day without?
Coffee.
If you could have dinner with any person, living or historical, who would it be?
Oh boy. How about Benjamin Franklin?
Oh, wow. Okay. Love that. Do you have a hidden talent?
Making people laugh.
I don't know if that's hidden because you do. You're a funny guy.
Most people in the company wouldn't know it. So.
True. They see CEO Dave, maybe.
Yeah.
What's one term or one word your team would use to describe you?
Oh my God. Oh, maybe intense, maybe driven. I'm not sure. Go ahead. I'm going to ask you the same question. How would you describe me? One word.
One word. What would I say? I know what I'm trying to say. I just can't find the word for it.
Clown?
No. Down to earth. It's not one word.
It's a phrase. Down to earth.
Okay.
Yes. But what's one word or phrase that you would use to describe yourself?
Restless.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, Dave, I think that's the end of our time together here. It's been so great chatting with you and just learning about you and taking a deeper dive. I wish you wonderful success with e4health. I love working here. I know everyone I speak to loves working here. So thank you so much for building such a wonderful working environment. We're all very lucky to be here, and we have you to thank for that. So thank you. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for your precious time. I know it is precious, so I appreciate it. And I don't know if you have any more final words, Dave.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Brendan, for manipulating this video in any way that you do. But yeah, I mean, let's go E4. Let's kick some butt in 2026 and 2027, and let's not look back.
Yes, go E4health.